Welcome back to Gunners Rust Podcast, where we are positively Patreon, and that we are. And I said Patreon, even though you're hearing it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. It's because this is a little preview. I want you guys to know what we're doing over on the Patreon, just to give you an idea. If you want to pay that £6 a month, this is the kind of content you're getting over there. Sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. Not to sound like the Gattuso, but this is what you get. This is a preview today of the Community Shield against Man City. And I thought I'd put it up here mainly to let you know about Patreon, but also because I did miss Wednesday's episode and didn't get up till Friday. So it's a little sorry, a little kind of handout, a little kind of, take me back, that kind of thing. Here is a little Patreon preview. And also to get everyone excited, because at the end of the day, we're all Arsenal fans. Let's get excited for another trophy. And we will talk about that today, because it is that, a trophy, a final, a Super Cup, if you will. So we'll talk about that today. I'll be back tomorrow, obviously, also on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, with a regular episode where we'll be talking about everything that did happen in Community Shield. But today is a little preview, and there's a lot to get into because it is a Community Shield, the champions of England versus the FA Cup winners. It feels very good to say that still. Arsenal, champions 2026. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Do you know what I mean? So, and the fact that we're that part of the Community Shield and not the team that came second or the team that won the FA Cup feels rare. I feel like we're in rarefied air because it's been 22 years since we've been in one of these because we're the champions. But we've also won like 5 since then, maybe 6. So we're in it a lot, but never usually on this side of the coin. Man City did do the domestic double last year, Carabao Cup and FA Cup, beating us in the Carabao Cup final. So they're good going, obviously. But today's an interesting one because is this a marker of the year or not? I feel like, if anything, the way I describe it is a free hit. Because my mountain to die on is that this is a cup and a major honour. Do I think it's... Maybe I was being a bit aggressive with major, but it's an honour. I think if at the end of your career, I've said this a lot, when Bruno Guimaraes retires, he'll go, I won the Carabao Cup and I won a Community Shield if he wins one today. Let's say he wins nothing else. God, touch wood, hope not. Hopefully he wins a lot more. But he will list that. The players list it. The managers list it. It's only online football fans that don't. I can tell you the people that spent 400 quid to go to the game today, plus 100, 200 quid in travel, plus getting drinks in, getting food in, because they've had to travel from London to Cardiff. To them, it's a trophy. Because they want to see their team lift it and parade it around the pitch. Because when we win the Emirates Cup, or when we won whatever we won back in Granoa, I think we won something, didn't we? And Ben White acted like it was a genitalia. It won't be like that, where no one wanted to lift it. It was a little, not an embarrassment, but that was the equivalent of the Emirates Cup, but for them in Granoa, because they run that every single year, and they don't see it as a trophy as we don't the Emirates Cup. But you have those levels, and then I think you've got these secondary levels. I think like Conference Leagues, Europa Leagues, Community Shields. I'd say they're kind of like the next level. FA Cup, Premier League, and Champions League being the biggest. But there's also things like FIFA Club World Cup. I put that along the lines of this. I don't think there's much merit to it. I think people are like, Chelsea get to say they're the best club in the world for the next 4 years. But they're not. And we all know it was just a glorified end of season. Everyone was knackered pre-season nearly because it went on so long. We know it's a nonsense. So I actually think Community Shield's above that. It's more important. Because like I said, to get into that one, yeah, you needed to have a certain amount of revenue and win a certain amount of games or whatever it was. But realistically, Chelsea and City being the only 2 teams in there and not Liverpool or Arsenal or anyone else kind of shows you what it was. There wasn't a crazy amount of merit. Whereas to get into this, like I said, you have to be the champions of England, the hardest league in the world. Just watching the Jose Mourinho doc. And he talks about it. He talks about winning Community Shields. He talks about putting a marker down. He also talks about it being the hardest league in the world, and Alex Ferguson also saying it, for anyone to come in and win that league, especially in your first attempt at management in England, is mad. Arteta isn't there was a team I don't remember, but Jose Mourinho did Benfica, and a team I don't know, Porto. Then he went to Chelsea and won the league back to back. Impressive, because it was his first 2 years he won back to back. But he talked about the first time in England doing that is just madness, because you don't have the kind of long stay kind of education and all that kind of stuff in England. What we have to remember is Arteta, this is his first ever managerial job. And in 7 years, he's got an FA Cup, I believe, 2 Community Shields and a Premier League. This could be a 3rd Community Shield, which is a bizarre stat. Now I say it out loud, I feel like this is it'll be a second, but we won the FA Cup, then won it. Then we came second and we won it. Yeah, because Trossard scored that late goal. Yeah. So he's got 2 Community Shields, FA Cup, and the Premier League. For a first-time manager taking over Poison Chalice club, that's mad. And I think only in hindsight will people talk about how impressive what he's doing is. And even watching the Jose one, the similarities between, like, he had a way of speaking to the players that people on the outside laughed at or thought it was ridiculous, but the players would die. They would leave that field John Terry's actual words would I'd leave that pitch in a coffin before I let him down. And I feel like there's a similar sentiment also, like the defence being as strong as they were and all these things, and people not liking them. There's so many similarities. So, really good doc, actually, if you want to check that out. But my mountain to down is the fact that this, in other countries, is a Super Cup. If it's called the English Super Cup, where would people stand? Because the Super Cup in which Villa lost to PSG the other day, if you win that, people celebrate it, but they also kind of go, eh. But it's also very impressive because you've got to be the European champions versus the Europa League champions. But we still don't celebrate. We celebrate about as much as the Community Shield. So I just consider it that. I don't think anyone's going to not say the Super Cup is a honour. And I don't think players or managers will ever see the Community Shield as not an honour. So that's what I like to see. I see every opportunity to stand at Wembley, or in this instance Cardiff, and lift a trophy and parade it and get to sit on social media for an hour after watching all the players put up pictures with it. That's important. And they only do that when they win major things. They don't do that after the Emirates Cup or Genoa or anything like that. They do it only with the ones they perceive as, this is going on the Wikipedia, this is going on the honours, this is going on my mantelpiece long term. So that's a reason to be excited. But the reason I see it as a free hit is that's the positive. You win it, you lay down a marker, we're the champions, we're clearly better. And this is our season again. We're going to go back to back. That's huge. That'd be great. And then we can enjoy social media for a couple of days before we get ready for Coventry on Friday. Or you lose. And you can look at, with the Carabao Cup final, I genuinely think losing that Carabao Cup final and the players Arteta forcing the players to watch them lift it was the reason we went on and closed out the season. I genuinely believe that. Because there was motivation. You can see this as motivation, having to watch them lift it and go, look, they've tried to take back their crown and they're doing a good start. Don't allow it. But I also think there's an element of no one cares. And this is what I was on about the other side of the coin, because if we win it today, it's not an honour. If we lose it, we're bottlers. So we can't really win. But I see it as a free hit because exactly that. If we lose today, I'm not going to be devastated. You're not going to see Saka, Rice, Reyes, Saliba, Gabriel, Bruno Gomes, Odegaard, a new signing on the left. All these players. Timber. You're not going to see us in our pomp. We're going to see us at the end of a pre-season that's been very blighted by slow filtering back of players. Play another team who are in the exact same boat, who have not necessarily done amazingly in the transfer window, sold a lot of important players, not really recouped them yet, and also unfit and come back in drips and droves. So you're going to see a bit of both. So, it's not anything to decide anything on really. But if you win it, it's nice. If you don't, it's like, yeah, we need to work on a couple of things and we need to get some players back. That's fair. And that goes for both teams. So I do think it's a bit of a free hit. As far as I'm concerned, the team that we're going to put out and the team City's going to put out, I think Elliot Anderson's not played yet. So I think he might. Haaland hasn't kicked a ball yet, but I think he might. But I don't think necessarily he'll start. And I think Haaland and Elliot Anderson are very in a similar boat as what we've got with Saka and Rice. I don't think you're going to see Saka and Rice. I don't think you're going to see Haaland and Elliot Anderson. But you might see cameos from any four of them. Or maybe all four, maybe none of them. But I do think you'll see maybe one or two of them appear later on in the game. So no one's at full strength. And when you do look at City and you look at, an ageing Donnarumma in goal, he's a world-class keeper though. They've lost Nathan Ake, not really replaced him. They've got Nunez on the right back. They don't have a new right back because I do think we turn a blind eye to everyone else, what they're doing. And we're worrying about us. Oh my God, we need cover at right back, right/centre back. We need a left winger, world class, maybe another centre forward. We're doing all this. And this is with a team that have we have 3 to 4 centre forwards if you include Moreno. We have 2 left wingers in 3 if you include Eza. And we have 8 defenders that can all play centre back or full back really, except for 1 or maybe 2. And we're worried. And we got our blinders on and we're going, oh my God, we're not prepared. Now look at City. Like I said, one right back, Nunes, who's not a right back. Pep really liked him at right back, but he isn't a right back by trade. They've got a couple good centre backs, but not necessarily any cover. They've lost Nathan Ake. They've got 3 good left backs, but they look like they're going to lose their Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri, who definitely won't play in this game, I assume. They've lost Calvin Phillips. They've lost Bernardo Silva, who's probably their most consistent player over the last 4 or 5 years. They've lost and not really replaced him. They've got Cherky, who had a very bizarre World Cup because he's a bizarre player. He's doing bottle flips. He's making fun of Arsenal. He ends up losing it. You can do all these funny things. You've got to back it up. Yeah, he was skillful. He did some cool things. Not backing it up enough, I would say. So someone like him, you got Marmouche, doesn't want to be there. Savinho doesn't want to be there. Doku back, should play. Semenyo back, very good player, should play. Not really anyone to back up Haaland. We've got Phil Foden out of form but signed a new deal. And then after all of that, Pep Guardiola has gone. And we don't know what City look like without a Pep Guardiola at the helm for at least a decade. So it's really interesting what we get. And I do look at Enzo and I think he's a very similar manager like Arteta. Arteta, I think, has more Mourinho than he does Pep, which is really interesting. A really good conversation we can have maybe over the international break. But he is closer to Pep. And when he was at Chelsea, we did actually have problems. I think he's a very good manager. He did unbelievably at Leicester. I think he was massively underrated at Chelsea, and I think he left because he knew the City job was coming. And I think he was just fed up with the way in which they do business, which is ridiculous. This is a team that, we talk about losing Lewis Skelly and Winery. They just make players or sign players, sell them, and buy new ones of the same level. They'll go, we'll bring in Andros Santos. He's really good, young midfielder, cool. Now we'll just move him on to our rivals. We'll just buy Lewis Skelly then. Pretty much similar player, similar level, younger, but you're just moving around pieces. They're very odd, and I think Enzo was a bit sick of that. Whereas at City, as much as they have sports washed, they have doped, they've done all these things that we still haven't got any answers for. They're a very well ran side. They are not a team that, will just move everyone on. They're not a team that are going to go, all right, we'll get rid of Haaland, we'll bring in Osman. And we'll, I know we just bought Marmouche and Savino. We'll get rid of them. We'll bring in, Neto and Martinelli. And Elliot Anderson we just bought, but we'll sell him next year for the same price and buy Bouadi. Phil Foden, we'll get rid of him. We'll just buy Ethan Winery. They're not that team. They're more calculated. They're very smart, and he'll fit very well there. And I think he'll be very good there. And I think he will be a problem because, like I said, we've not been unbelievable against Enzo Maresca's teams. So that's something to talk about. But I just think they're not in a good spot. And when you look around the league, like I said about our shutters, Liverpool have got an ageing Alisson, and maybe the goalie that has come in last year and played a lot of football, probably doesn't fit Areola. They're missing fullbacks. They're, probably not good, a fully tested centre-back core. Not enough midfielders. Haven't replaced their generational player in Salah. There's a lot kind of going on that maybe we don't know how to... We can't see it from Arsenal's perspective because we're just worrying about it. For example, we haven't lost Saka and not replaced him. We've also not lost Arteta and just replaced him. We haven't lost Declan Rice and replaced him with someone necessarily at that level coming from Nottingham Forest in Elliot Anderson. So when you do look around at the teams that have won the league in modern day, I'm talking the last 5 or 6, 7 years, it's 6, 7, is Arsenal, Liverpool and City. And when you look at the mainstays of those teams, people like Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Pep Guardiola, you look at Klopp, you look at Salah, you look at Alisson, Van Dijk, you look at Arsenal, you look at Arteta, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Saka. Everyone's got massive cracks in their versions of that except us. And we are the newest of those teams and the youngest of those teams. But you do look at that and you go, oh, okay, yeah, true. Because Liverpool haven't really had a great market. City, I don't actually think have had a great market. Do I think we've had a great market? I think we had a good market so far. I think our hopes were very high with the Vinicius stuff. But realistically, we've massively improved the squad already. But when you look at it and you go, do you know what? Yeah, we worry so much about what we're doing. You realise that everyone's probably in the same boat. Everyone's kind of missing a right back or missing a centre, centre forward, or haven't made that kind of clear signing they needed. Certain people have had to move on. They didn't want to. We're all kind of in the same boat. We're certainly all not fit because nearly all the top teams that are going to challenge for the title this year, the players were coming back in 2-week increments. And, for example, Declan Rice hasn't played a minute of football, nor Saka, but they're in training. Eza played a couple of minutes. Madueke's played a couple of minutes, but those two haven't. Reyes now played some minutes, but Zubimendi hasn't touched a ball. We're already at the Community Shield. We're playing our first Premier League game in 5 days. But everyone is in this boat. That's the thing I would say, and that's something we have to remember. But as for today, the team news, things like that, I'm just looking at, I think David Raya will start. I know a lot of people questioning whether Kepa will because it's a secondary cup maybe. But one, I don't think Kepa did anything to get us into this because we were champions, and that is a 100%, maybe 99.9% Raya thing because Kepa played the last day of the season. But I would play him. I reckon it'll be Hincapi on the left. I think it'll be Ben White on the right. I think the centre-backs will be Mosquera and Gabriel. I think the midfield will be Lewis Skelly as the 6, Bruno Guimaraes and Odegaard. And there is a conversation to be had about that midfield, and we will in this moment. I think Soles on the left. I really hope so. Because there's a couple of things he can do that are very steady. Very, I wouldn't say very Arteta, but there's some kind of PTSD of Arsenal fans where we assume the fun thing and we get the not as fun thing. I don't know where that started. I don't know who started it, and I don't know where it comes from as an Arsenal fan, but we all kind of feel the same. And the other side is the same. I think it will be Dalman. And then up front, I think it might be Kai Havertz. The worry I have is it's not the most physical team if we got Dalman on the right and with Soles on the left. Not that Soles is a walkover in any way, nor is Dalman. But with the midfield, it's a very progressive midfield. Bruno Guimaraes quite small, Lewis Skelly quite small, Odegaard quite small. I know we've got the big 4 large defenders, but you do wonder whether here's the steady part. Havertz drops into midfield, Gyökeres goes up front. Therefore, Odegaard, Bruno Guimaraes or Lewis Skelly drop out, and maybe Bruno Guimaraes is the 6, and then Havertz is in the midfield with Odegaard. I don't want it, but I could see it, and I could see him trying to add height to that midfield maybe. But I don't like it, and I think that would be quite telling if Lewis Skelly, who's played the whole preseason, played Champions League final, played the run-in, doesn't play this one. I think that is pretty much them saying, yeah, he's gone, by the way, which I really do not want. I can have a lot of conversations about that, but him and Waneri, if you said you had to get rid of one, I would get rid of Waneri. I would like to keep both. I would keep Lewis Skelly and play him a lot. I'll put Waneri on loan to a Premier League team. 100%. He needs time. Next summer, I do think we'll lose a couple 10s or a 10. Probably an Odegaard. Probably Havertz. So next year, we will be looking for that kind of player, and I do not want to be selling him for 45 million now, having had not the best couple seasons in a row, and then be trying to buy a player of his level next summer for 120 million. So I think we've got, and Arteta said in the press conference, we've got to look short, medium and long term. But so I hope we do the right thing there. Lewis Skelly's another one. I really just think that's bonkers. Isn't it? I mean, we're just down a midfielder. The reason we brought Bruno Guimaraes in was for days like this. Because if we didn't have Rice last year at this point, or Zubimendi, we would be playing a midfield of Norgard, probably Moreno and Odegaard, and just hoping to get through it. And I'm not saying that's awful, but the step up of Lewis Skelly, Bruno Guimaraes and Odegaard just feels so different, and that's why he's here. This is why we spent 75 million. But I do think there's a chance. This is, what I want is Lewis Skelly, Odegaard and Bruno Guimaraes. What could happen, that steady thing that I said that PTSD sits in there, is Havertz drops in and probably Lewis Skelly or Odegaard drop out. I think on the right, I think it's Dalman's to take. And based on what he said in the press conference where he's saying he is with us, he will certainly be with us, and playing time wise, it's about who can keep that position. I think that's something we got to remember as fans is, I agree. I want it to be you worry like, is Madueke going to be is there unrest there? We don't want any issues in the camp. I think it has to be that. It's like if you play Dalman today and he gets an assist or he plays really well, you expect him to play against Coventry. Don't just bring Madueke in because I'll give him a chance. So no, wait until he struggles. Then Madueke comes in. Then he has to take that position. If he doesn't, here comes another player. It has to be that level. It has to be competitive. But yeah, I do look at Dowman on the right, and I think the safe option, I don't think it actually is the safe option, but the senior option is Madueke. He did come on and play some minutes, and I wonder if that was in prep. And on the left, old trusty Martinelli. He knows what he's getting from him. Even though he clearly likes Solis and he's played a lot, and I think he didn't play much on Wednesday based on this. Dowman went off at half time as well, I think, or maybe 50 minutes, 60 minutes for Madueke. I think some of this is actually telling that he is going to start with Dowman and Solis either side of someone. But I want it to be, I don't mind Havertz being up front and Gyökeres on the bench. Like I said, I really love the concept of him for 70 minutes and Gyökeres at tired legs. But Solis is exciting. I think Dowman is exciting. I think that midfield is exciting because over the years, and again, this is so difficult. Arteta's not played Man City. It doesn't have Pep at the helm. During his time against City, he's tried a couple of times to go at them. It's gone very badly. He then learned, all right, we need to, press them. They went over the top with De Bruyne and Haaland, and we got damaged badly. And then he learned what to do, and it's kind of become a lot more even. But it usually involves us having 10% of the ball. And I don't mind it. He's gone, well, they're better on the ball than us, so that's fine. But we're still going to beat them. And we have managed to beat them. We beat them to a league title. We beat them 5-1, and that was a particular game. That game was actually 1-1 after like 65 minutes. Very tight. It just kind of became loose due to a deflected goal. But still, realistically, he goes, yeah, even in the Carabao Cup final, you have the ball. And we'll do what we can. In the league, you have the ball. We'll do what we can. The only time it happened was last year in the league. They had an early goal. They tried to defend it, and Martinelli capitalised late on because they sat back, and that's pretty rare form for Pep. And I don't think Enzo is someone who'd want to do that either. But we did see at Chelsea, he sometimes does it. Sometimes he will sit in a little bit. He's got a bit more that stubbornness that Arteta has more than Pep. But we also never seen Enzo Maresca taking over the best team with the best players, where you can go, well, we're better. But with the fact that Elliot Anderson probably isn't going to be playing, the midfield probably, and Reinders is gone now, the midfield's probably going to be Kovacic, Foden, someone. I really don't know who that third man's going to be off the top of my head. If we do go with that Lewis Skelly, Bruno Guimaraes and Odegaard, I think that's intent that we are going to have the ball today. This is the first time where we're going to accept we're the better team. You're going to have to figure out how to deal with us. And that's what I'd love to see. I don't want us to go out there and here's Havertz, blah, blah, blah. And then in the first 5 minutes, you realise, we're dropping back. This is, like I said, we're the champions. They're the FA Cup champions. They have lost 3 of their biggest assets of the last 10 years, basically. We have not. We have not done that. And we are in the best form of our lives in the last 22 years. I want us to act that way. And I feel that way about a lot of games, even the Champions League final. And I think Arteta basically said, we're not as good as them, so we had to accept that's how we had to play. And this summer was about making it so we're as good as them. And I think a part of that is dominating that midfield with the ball. I think he doesn't think we're good enough passers. I think we're physical. That midfield shows it's a passing midfield. The other one tells me we're going to be physical, we're going to out-physical them. And, styles make matches, and I get that, but I just wonder if this is our moment to be the alpha in the room and to go, let's lay the marker down. We're the champions. We are the better team, and we are going to dominate the ball. Obviously, things can change that as far as, red cards or injuries or pressure or whatever it is, but I want that to be the intent. And I want to, I want to get them like that so they have to accept we've got the ball, accept that we're better than them now. And just as they think, at least we're going to get let up, here comes Saka, Declan Rice, Gyökeres, Martinelli, and Moreno off the bench. And they go, there's another, even a better wave of players. So that's what I'd love to see. That's what I want to see. And again, like I said, if this doesn't go the way we want it and we lose 2-0 or 2-1 or 1-0 or penalties, whatever it is, it really isn't the biggest deal as far as the things we need to do this season. But it'd be so nice to get us to see us lift a trophy today. The press conference was really interesting as far as him not... I don't think he let on much about Lewis Skelly. He kind of said he doesn't comment on that, which is interesting, which is never a good sign. When Airy, he kind of said he's really good, but we have to think about him short-term, long-term, medium-term. That also tells me he's probably going out. But I do think if we don't get this left winger in, Eze might have to play a lot of left wing games, which means Odegaard's the 10. And I know Havertz can play there and Moreno and that, but I mean a creative 10 in the ilk of Odegaard, like an Eze, like a Waneri or a Dowman. Dowman's pretty much accepted he's going to be right wing for a bit. We could be short, so I don't think getting rid of Waneri is an option either. I think Jesus to Napoli, 18 million looks likely. Reece Nelson for 3 million to West Ham looks likely. We need to offload Vieira in any capacity. Ironically, he is a central midfielder that can play out left, like Eze and Odegaard. But I really don't think that's something we should be mucking about with. But, for example, losing Lewis Skelly just doesn't make sense because we're trying to get minutes out of the legs of Declan Rice whilst not losing our level. Doing that, we lose our level because if he's not there, someone's going to have to replace him that isn't as good. That's the truth of it. But it does seem like there is truth to that we've offered him out to teams like Man United and Chelsea, which is just honestly mad. So annoying. And you can tell it's disrupted the team because, the training photo yesterday, the winning team, Declan Rice is pointing at Lewis Skelly. The fact that he had to kind of apologise to the crowd and kiss the badge. It's like he's unhappy. The players are unhappy. I don't get it. And there's no one out there that you think, well, they might be doing that because they're trying to make room for Boadi. Okay, a player at the same level who's played at the same level, the same age, but doesn't know the country, doesn't know the language, doesn't know the tail end of it all. He doesn't know any of that. And also we're going to pay Boadi or someone for 110 and he's going to be 60 million. So we're going to lose 60 million to get a player that might not be as good. And that's the annoyance. That's the kind of thing that Chelsea do. I don't want that. Lewis Skelly's unreal. He's an unbelievable player. We're going to regret that one. Waneri, I don't know. Is he Smith-Rowe? Is he Willock? I don't know. But the Lewis Skelly one worries me. It really does. Anyway, today is the Community Shield at 3 o'clock. Team news will be at 1:45. So we're about, from this exact writing, 4 hours away from team news. So hopefully if you're travelling there, shout out. I know a couple people on the city side actually travelling to in Cardiff today. So shout out to them. Enjoy it, be safe, all those kind of things. Don't be too sad. Let's not have a discourse of we're going to bottle another year or, I don't want all that discourse if we lose. And if we win, hey, enjoy that social media because we've waited the whole summer to get back into Arsenal social media in a positive way. We had Champions League finals and Carabao Cup finals and Premier Leagues and all these wins over teams like Tottenham that we got really excited and we really enjoyed the day after. So I'm hoping to get another early one here before the game kicks off on Friday against Coventry at home. But as for the podcast, this was a preview of the Patreon. If you enjoyed this kind of stuff we're doing multiple times a week on the Patreon, so sign up to that for £6. The link will be below this video or audio. There's no video. And I'll be back tomorrow for what happened in this Community Shield on Wednesday. I'll be talking about the start of the Premier League and I'll probably predict the Premier League on Wednesday. How about that? And then on the Patreon, I'll be previewing, obviously, the Coventry game before Friday and all these other things. So check it all out, and I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.